Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're going to look at the prototype for the Turing test, which is called either the Venus prototype or called the first law puzzle demo. It does have controller support, but you can see it's very rough with no background audio. I will also mention that right now, as it is running as like a borderless window on my desktop with the start menu Windows taskbar on top of it, and it just won't go in full screen for my view, but that seems like that's working fine for me. We're not seeing a big difference in the power box here. We're seeing a lot more reflections and shininess, which there's something to that idea, certainly. The DirectX 12 of this game really didn't work greatly, and clearly these were like assets that had been bought but weren't going to be used, temporary assets. So, although, if you were just going to set a game in an office like this with energy powering the doors, it's effectively the same experience. Yeah, you're not really getting much of a different experience. There is an idea that feels like it could have happened here. Man, that is loud, and we don't have any pause or anything, so sorry about that. If it does play really loud, there's just no settings. They, even in this early version, obviously were planning on having a gun, when I think you could have been a bit more creative about that. Yeah. The idea of an open world where you just got more and more of these energy pellets is an interesting idea, instead of a extremely linear, extremely obvious experience, which is what we ended up getting in the first place. As for the real game, I think it is worth mentioning that there was an achievement for doing each of the pieces of the main story, and an achievement for basically doing each of the extra optional puzzles. So I did get 100% achievement completion, which is a great reference to just how a lot of games that I don't even particularly enjoy or like tend to still get 100% achievements, where games that I really, really do like tend not to. Here we have a very basic switch, just 3D polygons. I don't even know why it's frankly that well done, because somebody would have probably had to spend at least a couple hours modeling that and programming that, when it could have just been easy enough to say press X here to activate switch, and that's all you would need to do. Here's the first puzzle, determined to make us trick the system somewhat and shoot through the door. Boy, are these some bad placement things. Of course, a prototype like this, if it's being used properly, is for just like bug testing and concept testing, and should probably be shown to only people like the publishers, Square Enix, to ensure that this is the kind of game they're proposing. It's an interesting thought to jump down. We didn't have any of that ever happen in the game. We climbed down once, and that was it. Here's apparently what the power junction boxes were going to be, and you can see that while they sometimes snap a little bit better, they still don't seem to really want to connect. Oh, they just snap in, so you don't press X twice. Interesting. And they seem to be implying that there will be more verticality in this test section than even we saw in the main game. The main game is pretty obvious. Ramps would have been fine in the main game. These visual glitches, definitely not fine. Let's see. So, what we have to do is figure out the swap. And these concepts don't get emphasized. Even though we had 70 puzzles, we could have used more. Yep. I could see playing a game like this and it being some kind of like surreal experience, something that implied it was all a dream or some weird experiment being done in a standard office. That's definitely something that was shown here. They've even made it so you can't throw this through the window. They were already thinking about that. They've already shown that they have that idea as a concept, is that you were going to be using Windows for trickery reasons, swapping reasons. So we take that and just snap that there, and then we go over here, and then we take that and then shoot that there and replace that. It'll be interesting to see how much of this there is, and this is where you would really want to reward somebody for playing your game and doing the tutorials. Give out an achievement for this, but I don't believe you actually get this unless you buy the deluxe version of the game. And if you paid more than a couple dollars extra for this, you've probably not going to be very satisfied with that investment. It's not much of anything. So this is actually just a switch, so we just need to come over here and get an energy pellet. Do that, and then that lets us get an angle to do that. That then lets us switch that so we can steal that. Every time I stole something and then slid through a door, I very well did cheat my way through a puzzle in the main game, but I'll never really know. And here we are, demo end, just with text, and that's pretty much it. It's like a skybox in Minecraft. Really, just absolutely nothing here. Seems like these doors load. Like yeah, the doors just slide up and down. Yeah. If this and a digital art book and maybe a soundtrack is all you get for the Turing test, that's not a lot. So we've been going just 9 minutes. I'll just attach this video to the end of the main game. No reason for a separate video here. They did some different things. Like if they were going to do something closer to Portal, because let's face it, Portal was in kind of a scientific office building and that had a different feeling, or if they were going to do something like this Stanley Parable with puzzles, that would have been interesting too. Going for the sci-fi twist really didn't help anything at all. If anything, the theme of the Turing test would have probably been more interesting if it was some artificial intelligence that had been created in modern time, or even, let's say, in early computer generation. If somehow a mechanical gear driven robot somehow had gained sentience, that would have explained a lot of things. If you were playing actually as Alan Turing, inventing the Turing test to prove whether this robot that had been created was sentient, that would have been an interesting alternative history science fiction story. But just a in the future on one of Titan's moons, Europa, sci-fi story. In a weird way, the Turing test almost feels like it is a prequel to the game Prey, and yet the game Prey is a lot better, and probably a decent amount of that is because it first and foremost is built around the idea of having good action gameplay with a lot of different weapons, a lot of different options, and a lot of different levels and paths, and then it tells an interesting story on top of that. The puzzles in the Turing test, not that great. And only so much of that can really get blamed on Square Enix interference. Probably a lot of it is Square Enix interference and them cutting the budget and just being not really funding it. But I think a lot of it also just falls down to the creators of this game not really knowing how to tell a good story, nor really how to make good puzzles. I think I probably understated it a little too much, but the puzzles are way too simplistic. They're way too straightforward. The story is way too straightforward. So there is that running theme of whoever was in charge had a very linear, straightforward way of thinking, to the point where the entire story itself is told assuming that the player will always side with the humans no matter what. And when you get somebody who's maybe a little bit less of a empathic person and more logical, like me, then I don't empathize so much with people that it overrides my logic, particularly in a video game when the humans aren't even real. But I was totally on Tom's side the whole time, and I still am. Well, that's going to be it for the series again, so no need to wrap up again. So thanks for watching again. Bye.